Do you really need a zoom lens? Let's talk about it. For years I saw the zoom lens was essential. I just have to have all those focus distances with me because, what if? But then I tried something different. I committed myself to a prime lens. And my favorite, the master of all primes, 35mm, and especially this one, 35mm 1.4 G Master. I use this lens 95% of the time for my streets, travel and occasional photography. For a 1.4 lens it's small and relatively light. And it's crazy sharp. And when I say crazy, I mean unbelievably sharp. This actually drove me a bit crazy because I started demanding that same performance from my other lenses. Ultimately, that's the main reason I stopped using zoom lenses altogether. Now, of course, there are plenty of scenarios where a zoom is the better tool. If you are wedding or sports photography, you just don't have time to swap lenses. The same goes for a lot of videography, which I only do occasionally, so for me and my needs, this is the perfect solution. It lets me pack light while still getting the best possible image quality. Look here. Those details are nuts. You have great results every time, as sharpness goes all the way to the edges. And low light is not an excuse anymore. And you still have smooth bokeh, even with 35mm. So the 35mm is the most universal focal length for me, but sometimes you want that extra creamy bokeh for portraits, or maybe the lens compression is what you're looking for. For those situations I have a companion lens, the Sigma 85mm f1.4 Art. It's currently the lightest full-frame 85mm f1.4 on the market. This two-lens combo is fantastic for my Sony a7 IV, but it's still not perfect. And that comes down to weight. The 35mm GM is around 530 grams and the Sigma is around 630 grams. Now, that's still very impressive for f1.4 lenses that are this sharp. However, if you don't need that clinical sharpness and saving weight is your top priority, then I would recommend the Sony 35mm f1.8 and the Sony 85mm f1.8 because those are fantastic alternatives. I have owned both of those lenses and to be honest, I sometimes want them back. The main downside is a hit to image quality. You get a bit less sharpness and more chromatic aberration, which can be hard to remove in post sometimes, as you can see on those examples. But let's be real, the generic public will rarely notice these differences. So, in most cases, that f1.8 Duo is everything you need to travel light with the full-frame body. So the 35 and 85 combo is what works for me, but there are other pairing scenarios like 24 and 50 or 50 and 135. It's all about choosing what's work for you and what's best for you. But how do you figure that out? I did it, to be honest, in the hard way, like with the technique buy, try and sell. But to be honest, it's quite costly. Please do not repeat my mistake. My recommendation is to go with a standard zoom like Tamron 28-75 or Sigma 24-70. And analyze the metadata in your editing software so you can look for the focal length that you use majority of the time. Now, as you can see, I'm not using Lightroom Classic, and there is a big reason for that, but that could be a topic for the future episode. Anyway, your software should allow you to filter by focal length so you can see what your natural preference is. In my case, I found that with my Tamron 28-75, I was almost always shooting between 28 and 35. That's how I came to the realization that 35 prime would be enough for me. Not only would it be enough, but I could get better image quality and much faster aperture and travel lighter with just one lens on my camera most of the time. That's all for today. Let me know in the comments what your go-to 1 or 2 lens combo would be. Do you agree with my approach? Also, since this is my very first episode on the channel, I would love to know if you enjoy this type of content. If you would like to see more from me, please hit the like button and subscribe to show your support. Thanks for watching. Bye.